Do manual transmission Tacomas get honked at more often than automatics? Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. That's right. Do manual transmission Tacoma drivers get honked at more frequently than automatic Tacoma transmission drivers? You know, I'll tell you a little story. Today, I was at a stoplight, right? And what I typically do when I pull up to a stoplight, especially if it's just turning red, is I'll sit in neutral, right? I'll shift into neutral, I'll kind of coast up to the light, then I'll sit there. And if it's a particularly long light, then I will shift into first after I've sat there for a couple minutes, anticipating that, you know, someday it's going to turn green and I'll be able to go. So this morning, I pull up to a light, my usual, it's just turning red, I shift to neutral, I coast up, I stop, and I'm sitting there. And the light turns green, I'm still in neutral, right? I shift into drive, or first rather, and I go to take off, and just as I'm taking off, I hear a horn honk behind me. I'm like, what? Are you kidding? What? I'm moving. It just turned green, you know? So I do the required in the rear view mirror, you know, thinking they can see me in my truck, which I'm all tinted in here, so I'm sure they can't. But I do that anyway because, you know, you got to do that. And it makes me wonder, you know, I don't get honked at in the automatic, in the Jeep. You know, when I'm driving the Jeep, I don't recall ever getting honked at. But I've been honked at a couple of times, a few times, in the manual transmission Tacoma. So then I get to thinking, you know, is it me? Am I taking a longer than normal period of time to take off? And I don't think so. I mean, most of the time, I'm already in first. I'll sit there for a minute, and then I'll shift into first, because I don't want to hold up traffic, right? I mean, I know the light's going to turn eventually. So I'm in first, and I'm ready to go, and I take off. But on those rare occasions when I'm in neutral, those have been, it seems, when I get honked at. And again, it's just a split second, right? It's not like I sit there and take 10 seconds to get in gear. I mean, I pay attention. I'm not one of those people that pulls up to the light and decides to write a novel on my phone or something, you know? I'm watching, I'm paying attention. So I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Maybe it is me, I don't know. But it can't be more than a second, probably about a half a second lag between when that light turns green and I'm in gear and ready to go. Now, another thing that I find interesting, and I haven't been honked at, but I've gotten some unhappy looks, let's say, is when you're at a light, everything else is normal, right? Light turns green, you take off, no honking, and you're running through the gears. Now, typically when I'm driving, you know, I don't go through the gears like I'm trying to win a race or something, right? I mean, I'm going through the gears normally. I'm running out the gear. I'm shifting from first to second to third to fourth, whatever. And it takes a little bit longer. I mean, you know, it's not like an automatic where you just, you know, depress the accelerator and the car goes. It takes a little bit longer because you have to run out the gear. The Tacoma is not exactly a race car anyway, so it's not like you've got an overabundance of power and it just runs through the different gears, you know, like that. So it takes a little bit longer. So I take off from lights or stops, for example, and I'm rolling through the gears, and I always look behind me just to see, because I'm aware that it's taking me a little bit longer. I mean, I'm not trying to provoke anybody. I'm not trying to take longer. It's just the way it is. It takes a little bit longer to go through the gears. So I always look behind me just to see how close somebody is or what they're doing, or, you know, just to be aware of my surroundings, right? So I often catch people, they look like you've just insulted them with the worst thing you could ever do or ever say, right? They've got this look on their face like they're ready to go to battle. They are upset sometimes. And it's funny because most of the time there's a lane beside me, either to the right or to the left, right? I mean, they could go around me if they wanted to, right? And oftentimes they do, but they don't just go around me, right? I get that little look, you know, as they're going, and they're accelerating at an exorbitant amount, right? I mean, they are flying. It's like they want to show me how fast I should be going. Now, in most cases, it's in a lower speed limit. I mean, like a 35 or 30 even. So by the time they've gunned it and they're flying around me to show me how fast I should be driving, I guess, I don't know why they do it. They're already breaking the law. They're already well above the speed limit because they're flying by me. It's a 30, 35 mile an hour speed limit, you know? Doesn't take much to get up to speed. But I just find it funny that people are so impatient. And you notice that more in the manual transmission, because if you're like me and you're just driving normal, rolling through the gears in your Tacoma, it takes a little bit longer. You know, I'd kind of liken it to a semi, let's say. You know, we've all been behind a semi at a stoplight, and while they are one of the most powerful vehicles on the road, they are not the fastest vehicles on the road, right? So you're behind them at a stoplight, light turns green, they take off, and they're just, it seems like grinding through the gears, you know? Like it takes them forever to get up to speed. And it does, because they're not geared for speed, right? They're geared for hauling, towing. So you get behind them, and it's funny, you watch cars, they do the same thing, right? They'll gun it, they'll get on, they got to get around that semi, even though they know it's a semi, right? I mean, they know they're not a 0 to 60 in, 1.2 seconds. It's going to take them a minute. But they fly around them at some exorbitant speed like they're doing something wrong. I mean, they're doing as much as they can, right? I mean, you can only go so fast depending on the vehicle that you're in, like the Tacoma. It's not like a semi, don't get me wrong. It doesn't take that long. But when you're driving a manual transmission and you don't have the most powerful vehicle in the world anyway, it takes a couple minutes. Now, with the semis, it's funny. I've actually seen this a couple of times. People are nuts. Where people will get on it and they'll actually go around them in the berm, on the right side. You know, if you're on the right side of the road in your lane, on the berm. I've actually seen this a couple of times, particularly here. And I find in where I'm at, people like to drive the berm anyway. If you're pulling up to turn, for example, say you're on a road and it's 2 lanes and you want to turn left, people will go around you here. You know, I'm not used to that. Where I come from, you don't drive on the berm or off the side of the road unless you're stopping or you have a problem. But not here. It's part of the road. You put your turn signal on and you're turning left and you don't get over halfway into the next lane or all the way into the next lane. I've seen people do that too. They will fly around you in the berm. It's the same kind of thing. You know, it's like, what's it going to take you? An extra 3 seconds? I mean, if there's no traffic, and they can see, just like you can, if there's any traffic coming and maybe you're going to have to wait a minute. So they can see that obviously you're going to turn right away and they'll be able to fly past you, and it's not going to take them, what, maybe an extra couple of seconds? I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, I just found that kind of interesting. I experienced it again this morning. Maybe it is just me. I don't know. Maybe I ought to be rolling through the gears like I'm trying to win a race every time I'm at a stoplight. I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Do you find that manual transmissions get honked at more often than automatics? Are you one of those honkers? Leave a comment and let me know. I'd be curious. Also, real quick, shameless plug time. If you haven't before and you're interested, check out my other channel. It's all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. That channel is RobMotive JT. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.